Once again, we're starting a new video here. Let me confirm with Mr. Harper that I'm ready to go. All right. So I would like to, at the beginning of every one of these, say a big special shout out to Quest for giving us this building. They have given us the opportunity to be here, and we need to respect that. So thank you, thank them. But let's get into marketing. I do not give a damn how much you learn about real estate. Until you figure out the marketing piece on this side, you will not perform. You will not perform. Marketing is going to be the onset of performance. The better you get at this, this is the opportunity creator. If you are not doing this, opportunity will not just fall in your lap. Now, you might have some wild story of, oh, you know, my best friend had somebody that was in trouble and they had referred me to him. I don't give a damn. That was still marketing. You told somebody something that got them to understand that you were in this business, and that allowed you to close this deal. Marketing is the only way to apply your knowledge. You must let people know what you're doing. Okay? Now, I will hear, and I understand why I hear this. Marketing is expensive. And I need you to transition your thought processes and words to marketing is an investment. A solid marketing campaign that has been proven, tested and tried, should have a determinable ROI attached to it. It's not just BS throwing money at the wall. You need to come at this with a calculated approach. You know, I want to verify that my marketing is working for me. We have a lot of different ways to market. We will be discussing many of those throughout this specific class, but all of that to be said, just as I had mentioned before, find the ones that you are most likely to do consistently and focus on those. There may be 198 different ways that you can market to somebody. Find the 3 that not only you can do, but you will do, and do them. That is one of the key things that Grant Kemp always says, and I love hearing him say it, is when people say, what type of marketing should I do? His response is always the one that you will do. I could tell you, you should go knock doors, but if your personality type and your effort level says you're not going to do it, then you're not going to do it. Find a marketing channel that you will do and do it consistently, repeatedly over time. Track your results, pivot to a function, and you'll start seeing success. Don't go out there and try and do it all, because once again, it's not going to work out well for you. Okay? So, threw this in up front because I think it's important. We're going to talk about KPIs, key performance indicators. You should be running these throughout your entire business, through all different channels of your business. KPIs are your scorecards, as I was taught by Gary Harper with Sharper Success Coaching, an amazing mentor of mine. KPIs, though, are how we will manage our marketing campaigns. Some of the things that I'm going to be looking at is total number of whatever it is do I have to do per lead. Like, how many phone calls do I have to do to get a lead? How many direct mail pieces do I have to do to get a lead? How many text messages do I have to send to get a lead? Okay? What I call a lead is somebody answers the phone and they're willing to talk to me about their house. That's a lead. Okay? Another KPI that I'm going to study, track, and follow up on is, what are my total leads per appointment? Okay? I now know that I must get 98 leads to get 14 appointments. That is now something that I can scientifically scale. If I want more appointments, I now know that if I want to double my appointments, I now need to do 98 times 2, 196. I need to do 196 leads to get double my appointments. This is how you start applying processes, procedures, systems, accountability to your business. Okay? If I look at the end of my week, and even if you're running this by yourself, This is your accountability chart. You will hold yourself accountable to your KPIs. I now know that every single week I must make 954 phone calls. If I'm sitting on Thursday and I've got 118 of them done, you're going to have one long-ass Friday. Because you are your own boss and you're not going to allow yourself to fail that week, are you? You're just failing your dreams. You're failing your whys if you do. Your why was not big enough. Total leads per appointment. Total appointments to get a contract. I now know that I can go on 19 appointments, and if I go on 19 appointments, I get 13 contracts. Okay? How many contracts do I have to get to a close? Well, I got 13 of them, and I got 9 of them across the finish line. I now have metrics to run my business by. I now know what I must do to scale it. Not everything is linear. I can't always just go out and double something and get the same results. That is why these metrics are here. We constantly value and monitor these metrics so that we are aware of what our marketing results are. I don't want to just go out there and market blind and just start throwing money out there. That is not investing. Like if I came in here and I said, hey everybody, I've got an IPO coming out, an initial public offering on this new company out here that's doing X, Y, Z, and I want all of y'all to invest in this stock. Give me your money. For anybody that was even remotely interested in that sales pitch, you're going to say, show me some damn details. Same thing with marketing. If it's an investment, start getting detailed with what you're doing. Track what your efforts you are making so that way you can see what is performing. Okay? Going out, you will not have these metrics. Going out to get your first deal, don't even worry about this too much. Get out there and get your first deal and then analyze what it took to get that deal and start building your metrics from there and try and scale up and repeat. You need to figure out a process behind it. Starting out right now, most people in this room that have never done a deal, you do not have a process. Get out there, figure out that process, and start documenting along the way. Moving forward to the rest of the KPIs. What is my average cost per lead? That is either physical labor. It takes me 19 hours a week. It takes me 49 hours a week. It takes me 88 hours a week to get one lead. Figure that out. It takes me $188 to get one lead. It takes me $14,900 to get 49 leads. Figure out whatever that is in your business. Monitor it, track it, and see. There's going to be a bell curve to that. It's like if I spend $0, I get 0 results. If I spend $10,000, I get a big chunk of results. But if I spend $20,000, I get less return out of it. There's kind of like a bell curve of productivity through all of your marketing channels. Figure out what they are. You know, I wish I could just go in there and say, you know what, I'm going to market to water lists. Well, there's only so much money I can throw at water lists before that return on that money spent is going to diminish. So that's why you'll start seeing more advanced wholesalers start using multiple lists and start expanding their thing. But brand new, pick out 1 or 2, stick with it. And then once you figured those out, expand from there. Average cost per appointment, average cost per contract, average profit at close. What you might find is that, and the reason this piece is important is you might find that the marketing channel that's getting you the most deals may not necessarily be the marketing channel that's making you the most money. More deals does not mean more money. And that's why I tried saying at the front, like, just because you're doing deals doesn't mean anything. The truly thing that matters is what's it look like at the end of the year. So if I'm monitoring this, I can now tailor and say, you know what? Driving for dollars cost me 33 hours a week, but those 33 hours a week paid me on average, $1,700 an hour. Or I can go out there and spend $15,000 a month in direct mail and close 9 deals, but my average cost per hour my average income per hour on that was only $118. So if I'm able to see that, I can really quickly use that data to tell me, while it sounded like I was doing really good over here, my best resource of time right now is to start scaling up my driving for dollars. Okay? How would I scale up driving for dollars? Hiring more drivers. There's only so many hours I can do it, but if I'm making $1,700 per hour, it's very probable that I can start paying somebody $15 an hour to drive for me. Okay? So, KPIs are important, and you should apply this throughout your entire business, not just your marketing. Your sales team. Your sales team should have their own KPIs. Your dispo team, own KPIs. Your transaction coordinator should have their own KPIs. You start managing your business based upon your KPIs. I do not believe there's anybody better in this business to teach you about that than Gary Harper. Okay. Split testing. This is that term I used a little bit earlier. If I just went out and started marketing to probates and took my first 30 days of results as a final answer, I would have never invested in probates. That first 30 to 90 days of investing in probates was a punch. Like, it hurt. Like, I don't consider myself to be an ambulance chaser, but, my marketing came across that way. So I had to figure out how to change that up. I had to figure out what I was going to do to really affect my thoughts onto that paper and get it out there to the world. So split testing is, I'm not going to do a whole class today just on copywriting. Like I could do a full class just on copywriting, but every postcard, every letter, every marketing piece that you do should have that clickbait, that hero, that catch of attention. Our attention spans have dwindled down to almost nothing, and the simple fact that most of y'all aren't on your phones is a win for me. The simple fact, though, is I have to catch people's attention. I have to do it, and I have to do it fast. That is one of the things that I'm going to split test. Oops, I lost my button. All right, so if I'm sending you a postcard, there's probably going to be something on that postcard that is big to catch their attention. Now, I might try split testing, whenever I do my pre-foreclosure marketing. The very first thing it would say at the very top is, I'm trying to remember exactly what it said, but it said something along the lines of, and I'm going to butcher it. So I'm just going to say, your property's going to pre-foreclosure, and it's almost 100% guarantee we can get it stopped. Do you think that might catch their attention? Now, I don't remember exactly what mine said, but I just put in there's almost a 100% guarantee we can get it stopped. If somebody is wanting to stop their foreclosure, that sounds appealing. Now, how might that be different than if I put that hero out there, hero being my opening statement, and I said something along the lines of, I want to buy your house. Do you see where split testing might find different results? So I'm going to constantly change up, not constantly, but I'm going to systematically change up what my initial statement is going to be to see which one gives me an uplift in my return. What do I mean by an uplift in my return? If I send 100 pieces of mail and I receive 4 phone calls, I received a 4% return. If I do that consistently and I consistently get a 4% return, I now know that marketing piece and that current piece of cycle, I get a 4% return on. But now if I change my header and I send them both out to 100 people, this one gets 4 phone calls, this one gets 6 phone calls, I just doubled my return. I got 4 over here, I got 6 over here, I got, how much of a percent increase is that? A 50% increase? I don't know, I'm not a smart person. I try to surround myself with a bunch of smart people. It's not a joke. I do not take credit for 99% of what's happened around me because I can't. It is the people around me that has made it happen. Relying and building teams around you is a key point to moving from that scarcity mindset to abundance. If you're always trying to do it on your own, learn that it's almost impossible to grow to a scale on your own. But I'm bringing that back to, if I go out there and I change that hero, and now I got 2 more phone calls just by changing that up, and I apply that times 1,000 pieces, I just got 20 more extra phone calls. That's really important. It really, really, really is important. If I can get a 4% return up to a 6% return, that is a huge increase. That's where split testing comes in. You can split test across everything. If I'm doing text messaging, if I'm sending text messages to homeowners that have vacant properties or absentee owners, if I open up the gate with, hey, I saw that you had a shitty house, can I buy it from you? That may or may not get me a solid return. I've seen Corey Thompson do some marketing. I've seen Corey Thompson do some marketing campaigns that I would have never in my wildest dreams done. But he got returns out of them. Why? Because he was able to find a way to connect with people in a way that made sense for him. Like he understood low-income rural people. And he talked to them like it. He wasn't scared to talk to them the way that he would talk to them at Walmart, the way he would talk to them at the car wash, the way he would talk to them meeting them at the local, whatever you do in the middle of nowhere. But I loved that about Corey Thompson. He wasn't afraid to do something. So he would send out, he sent out divorce marketing. He's like, getting divorced sucks. So did you. Like he would say stuff like that. I was like, are you kidding me? And he'd close deals. I have no clue, but understand that, you know what? Sometimes getting risky might set you so far apart from everybody else that you got their attention. Okay? Use your split testing. Do not just go out there and go to Google and say, probate letter, download, email, or direct mail, and just keep going and say, this doesn't work. You have to constantly analyze what you're doing to see if it's performing at its best possible scenario, and do not get afraid of getting outside of that box. Everybody says we buy houses. I get it. It's very concise. We buy houses. But you start getting outside of the norm, you might find yourself to stand out. And while you might not be able to resonate with everybody in the room with the message you just said, hey, you got a really shitty house, can I buy it? There might be some people within that list that really resonate with that message. And while you might not be able to collect the whole, you're now able to close more deals because you were able to connect with somebody that no one else could. So don't be afraid of showing who you are. Okay? Free versus paid. Getting into this as a wholesaler, you have two ways to pay for this business. You have to pay for it with your life. That is time. And I like to use that word life because any time that you apply your time to something, you are giving your life to it. Be very careful what you give your life to. But I can either give my life to it or I can give my money to it. Most of us exchange our time for money. As you progress and you learn to live through abundance and you learn how to adopt and grow that life, you will start exchanging your money for time. Because which one is more important? Time. We are conditioned and we are brought up in a society where we are trained to exchange our time for money, i.e. employment. The better we get at upping our chances of winning this game by stacking our cash is now allowing us to buy other people's time. Okay? When you purchase gas, you did not buy gas, you bought somebody's time, you bought somebody's life. Money is a storage of life. The more of it you have, the more life you have. If you start looking at it that way, it's like, do I want that new car? How many years of my life am I going to give up for it? Do I want that new house? How many years of my life am I going to give up for it? Do you know what mortgage means? Broken down to Latin, mort, death, gauge, death contract, mortgage. Money is a placeholder of life. If someone's paying you $9 an hour, they believe that your life is worth $9 an hour. How much do you think your life is worth? The only difference between somebody gets paid $9 an hour and somebody gets paid $9,000 an hour is this. Ryan Harper helped me shift my mindset considerably because growing up blue collar, I was always taught that my worth was equal to my output of performance. How much pipe could I lay? How deep of a ditch could I dig? How many shingles could I throw on a roof? How many studs could I throw up in a day? That was my worth. And when he helped me understand that the greatest paid people in this world are the people that think. the better I can get at turning this, all of this, into money, the more money you will make. And I struggled for a very long time with equating my worth to my physical output. Where I started learning is that my worth is what I can do in my head. So blue collar people will start feeling like they're lazy if they're not out there, doing something. Well, you are doing something. And the better you get at training this to make $9,000 an hour, $90,000 an hour. Now, when I say $90,000 an hour, I might hit some people in this room with a roadblock of like, that's not even possible. People in this world make $90,000 an hour. If you want to do the same thing, figure out what activities they do in their life to make that happen. Repeat that process, and now you have a brain that's worth $90,000 an hour. The only difference between $5 an hour, $5,000 an hour, $50,000 an hour is where you apply your time and learning where to apply that time to make that money. We all have the exact same amount of time in our life. Okay? I went on a rant there. Advertising options. Let's talk about some advertising options. We got multiple different ones, free versus paid, but you must value your life. Free is not free. You gave up your life for it. We've got some paid services. Mail. Mail starting out, I think mail works really good if you are on a low budget. Mail works if you're a sniper. What I mean by a sniper is you went out, you did your data mining, and you really drilled in on some very key people that have a high probability of selling, and you spend $500 and you put them on a multi-touch campaign. Yes, sir?
Got a quick question from Sonia in Arizona. When you analyze your data, what time frame would you use? 30 days, 60 days, 90 days?
It really depends on the list I'm targeting. Like it's all determined. Like I could probably throw out a list of 192 motivating factors that somebody might lean towards to sell their house, but each and every single one of them will be different. Like if I'm doing water lead lists, I found 2 key pieces of that water lead list. People that shut off in the last 30 days, those are very new, fresh leads. They're right in the midst of that pain point. And then I also found through that if I altered and I started targeting people that have been off for at least 6 months, they're now in a super pain. Like the property's been abandoned for at least 6 months. The water does not stay shut off at a house for 6 months unless it's abandoned. Okay? So I found 2 things. I always want to try and get the person right at the moment of it, and then I also want to try and get the person 6 months in. So it's really that's why I say master. I can't give you a blanket statement because there is no blanket answer other than it depends. I will answer a lot of questions with it depends because I do not want to steer you wrong on a path that I'm not familiar with. If you're asking me how to do tax liens, I'm not a tax lien investor. I'm not going to answer your questions. Okay? So with mail, what I meant by a sniper is if you get really good at your data mining and you're able to narrow your lists down to very small numbers and you market to that very small number religiously, like you're going to send that one contact 7 postcards, 5 RVMs, 3 text messages, and that's in the first 4 hours, you're probably going to get that deal. Now, where if you're starting out and you're on a budget and you're trying to hit a very broad list and your budget's only $500, you're wasting your money in my opinion. Like if I'm going to market to absentee owners and I've got a direct mail budget of $500, can you lock up a deal? Yes. You're not going to retire with it. That $500 a month might mean you get 1 deal that year. 1 deal a year is not going to change it up for you. But if you learn how to stack that data and get very precise with what you're doing, you can make your direct mail budget extend. And that's where I think direct mail is applicable to a newer real estate investor with limited funds. Now, if you're a big boy and you've got $100,000 a month to drop it. People do it. Like, what's her name? Christina Cross. The company she's running through, she does about 1.3 to 1.4 million a month in direct mail. So, if you're seeing the performance of some big boys, understand what the big boys are doing. You cannot build your startup business trying to do what they're doing. You can try to build your business to scale to what they're doing. But if you're trying to knock out 200 transactions a month, well, you got to understand their budget's $1.3 million to do it, plus their employment base and everything else. Build what you want to build, and that's why I started out, my very first slide was build with your end goal in mind. If your end goal is not to have 15 employees, which is not really retirement in my opinion, then you need to understand how to build a business differently and build with that in mind. All right? Postcards versus letters. I can send postcards for a lot cheaper than I can letters. I can send postcards for a lot cheaper than I can send letters. But I would want to look at my KPIs to see which one gives me a better return. Just because I can do more postcards for cheaper does not mean that is the better option. I might find that I can design a direct mail piece that's a letter that gives me a higher response rate than my postcard. And whenever I run the metrics behind the two, I might find out that while that letter cost me more, it created more revenue for me. And the only way you're going to know that is if you're tracking your data. Does that make sense? Okay. Printed versus handwritten. These are some things that you might want to split test. What I found for me on probates, if I am marketing to a probate seller, printed envelopes did not give me near the return as a handwritten envelope. And since I now knew for a scientific fact that if I handwrite that envelope, I will increase my return significantly, I found that that was a worthwhile investment. I will pay somebody to sit down and hand address every single one. Why? Better return. It's an investment. And if you treat it like an investment, you'll get a return out of it. Okay? Bulk mail. Can I set up bulk mail? Yes. I did bulk mail on certain marketing strategies. Like if I am going to do pre-foreclosures, I'm never in my wildest dreams going to do bulk mail through a pre-foreclosure campaign. Takes too much time, the lead's gone dead, and everybody else has already gotten to it. But would I mind doing bulk mail to a water lead list? Probably not. Why? Because whenever I pioneered that strategy through the assistance of some of the network around me and scaled it up to the scale that I took it to, I wasn't too worried that anybody else was marketing to that list. I knew for a fact, hands down, I was the only one doing it in many municipalities. Why? Because I spent several weeks arguing with them, discussing with them, explaining to them how to do it, why they were going to do it, and why it was in their best interest to get it done. If I had to spend several weeks meeting with them to get that list, I now know no one else is marketing to it. If no one else is marketing to it, speed's not that important to me. I can reduce my cost by going through bulk mail. Now, if you're going to start doing large amounts of mail, bulk mail is something you need to look into. I'm not going to do a class on bulk mail today, but bulk mail is available to you. Get your letters, postcards down to 20 cents, 22 cents. How's that even possible? Postage costs more than that. Well, you got to learn the game. It's a game all on its own. We could do a 2-day class just on letters, copywriting. Skip trace your dead mail. This is where a lot of newer real estate investors will drop the ball and drop the ball hard. Every time you do any kind of direct mail campaign, you need to go to your mailbox, and all of those returned letters are gold. They are your best leads. They are your most qualified leads. Why? Because they are now an indication of some of the hardest ones to get a hold of. If everybody else is marketing to an absentee owner list and no one else is skip tracing the dead leads, well, this is your chance. You start getting a bunch of non-contacted people, you start skip tracing them, tracking them down, figuring out why that envelope got bounced back to you, you will put yourself in the top 10% of investors. Yes, sir.
You're talking about skip tracing there. That's like, I get tons of those back. That's like my biggest problem right there.
Okay.
With I'm wondering how do you, I get the letters returned to me and I pay to make sure they go out.
Okay.
And then I get them returned, no signature, no nothing on them, like the people's not even there.
Then what I'm going to say on that side is if other people are marketing to that list as well, which they probably are, and they're ignoring that returned mail, which a lot of them are, you're going to now find yourself in a situation where that property popped up as an indicator of motivation, but they're not being contacted. And if you take the time to really just drill in on all of those mail pieces, I'm going to skip trace that owner. What? I just found out that owner's passed away. Let me find out who the possible heirs are. Let me find out this. Let me find out that. And you spend the rest of all of your time, either yourself or someone on your team, getting in contact with each and every single one of those people. I'd almost be willing to bet you've got $30,000 sitting in your return mail.
Yeah, like I get those letters back constantly.
That's not a bad thing. That's because everybody else that's doing the same thing as you, if they're not skip tracing them, then that's just that many leads that you can now perform on that no one else did.
So I just keep hitting them back up.
I would skip trace them. Well, what I mean by skip trace is, so there's like resources like skipgenie.com, TLO, batch skip trace. These are all Propelio. Propelio's coming out. We've partnered up with Skip Genie as well as batch skip tracing to get you this information. But what you'll do is you'll go in there and say, blank, blank, blank address, show me all potential occupants and their contact phone numbers and their contact emails, all of their potential relatives. Are they deceased? Okay. Well, if I skip trace 123 Main Street and it comes back and it says that the owner is 97 years old, there's a good chance that person has now deceased. It's just probabilities. Okay, so now if I've been trying to get in touch with that person and I can't, it's probably because that person has honestly deceased. Can I figure out, now, okay, I now know that Mrs. John Smith or whatever it was, I can find out them, who their potential heirs are. This lead is starting to get difficult. And what you'll find is whenever a lead starts getting difficult, the more difficult it gets, the more people that stop doing it. And you start drilling in, okay, Mrs. John Smith was the widow of John Smith. John Smith, I can find out, had blank, blank, blank children. I can skip trace those children, call them up and be like, hey, did Mrs. John Smith just die? Yeah. Okay, I work from there. Okay? Those are your best deals. Here, grab one of these real quick. So, skip trace your dead mail. Every door direct mail, EDDM. That's like if you got the budget, what I can do is just say, I really want to market to 76085. That's my marketing zone. I want to hit not just a property in 76085. I want to hit every property in 76085. Now, there's several different ways of taking that approach, but the Postal Service does offer EDDM. And I'm not going to get deep in on the weeds from this. What I want you to know is that EDDM is kind of like a flyer that's got 19 businesses on it. And you get to be one of those 19 businesses. Has anybody seen those? Do you pay a lot of attention to them? No. That's why this marketing is cheap. It's subsidized. You can get yourself in front of a lot of people. But if you do it right, you might be able to pull a deal out of it. I'm not a big fan of it, but some things that you might be able to do is if you've got the marketing budget to do it, is to really start marketing in an entire neighborhood. That right there is kind of like a bandit sign. If I just take a bandit sign into an entire neighborhood, everybody in that neighborhood is likely going to see what? That bandit sign. That is, I do like bandit signs. Like if I was to go right back to the streets, start wholesaling, my primary entrance strategy for acquisitions would likely be bandit signs and then hitting some niche lists.
As far as bandit signs go, I know that it's illegal in some municipalities, some cities to put them in certain
places. So the code
places.
violations across the board, yes. And we'll talk about bandit signs here in a second. I came up with my own system to create a bandit sign system that was not an infraction of code enforcement. But I have to take into consideration where my comfort level stands.
Yeah.
Is it a code violation? Yes. Is it technically wrong? Yes. You have to become, at a point, okay with that. If you're not okay with that, I get it. If you are okay with that, I get it. But at the point in time, I can drop a $3 sign in the ground and make 30 grand. I'm probably doing it.
I'm totally okay with it. I was just wondering if there's any fines that end up assessed with it, and if there are any fines, can you take and divert it by putting a 1-800 number through Vonage?
So there is a lot of things that we can talk about that, and we'll go into bandit signs. What I want to do through the course of the next 2 days is explain wholesaling. Like, I could do a full 2-day class just on marketing. I could do a full day class just on bandit signs. So what I don't want to do is think that right now I'm going to give you all of those details, because I would need 2 weeks. What I want to do is give you all of the details that I can of wholesaling so that you understand it from beginning to end, and I'll answer those types of questions as I move through. But like on bandit signs, it's like, can I get fines? Yeah, I can. Can they be big? Yeah. Can my payday be big? Yeah. So what's my ROI? If I have to pay $14,000 in fines this year and I made $193,000,
Worth it.
that's my marketing expense. But I'm not sitting here and trying to encourage anybody in this room to go out and commit a bunch of code violations. This is your business. This is how you want to operate. Some people would consider that to be extremely unethical. I personally, like if you go on to biggerpockets.com and you start talking about bandit signs, they'll roast you. I personally thrived off of bandit signs. That's my opinion, though. Some people might say I was wrong for doing it. Well, at the point in time, I have to feed my family, and I now know that instead of standing on the corner, I can just drop a sign on the corner, and I make 30 grand. I'm going to do it, man. I'm just going to do it. If I have to choose between doing something illegal that's beneficial to the neighborhood or something illegal that's not beneficial to the neighborhood, and those are my only choices, I'm going to drop that sign there. Like, when you're broke, you're broke. You got to figure something out. All right? Guerrilla marketing. Guerrilla marketing is where I see a lot of opportunity for someone that's new and doesn't have a lot of budget, and you're just getting out there and getting some stuff done. If anybody in here has ever heard of Donovan Ruffin, whenever I first met with Donovan Ruffin when he was first getting started, like, he went to Walmart and bought poster board. Not even bandit signs, just like poster board. And with a Sharpie wrote, "We buy houses" on there and was stapling them to poles. Like, it's paper. He was putting paper on poles saying "We buy houses," and he knocked down his first deal. He was broke, but he pulled it up off the ground with his posters. So guerrilla marketing is a way to pull out. Bandit signs being one of them. I really like bandit signs. I like the way I transitioned out of bandit signs into putting signs on cars. It reduced my capital expenditures, and it increased my ROI because I could pay for it once, and I'd have a sign forever in the marketplace. I have a full class out there on that on Propelio's Academy, not Academy, but on Propelio TV, YouTube. You just go out there and look at the car signs on wheels things or whatever it ended up being. Full class on how to get your car, your sign on hundreds of cars. I did that when I got up to about 70-ish cars. I taught that to some other people. Tang Nguyen, also somebody here local that has really done a great job. He took that exact same campaign that I designed, and he got up to 300 cars. Could you imagine if you had 300 cars driving around with your sign on the back window? Opportunity. See where I'm saying? Get outside of the mindset of tradition and start thinking about what can you do to get in front of as many people as you possibly can and tell them that you buy houses. Bulletin boards. And what I mean by bulletin boards, not billboards, just bulletin boards, like little pegboards. Could we possibly find, a lot of the times if someone's moving and they're not necessarily planning for it, might they have to surrender their pet? Most of your Humane Society surrenders are from people moving. If there's a billboard at that Humane Society that I can put a business card on or a flyer on that says "We buy houses," is that a deal? Are you going to retire off of that? No. But if you can just add one more deal to your pipeline, maybe that's a deal for the year. If that deal was $8,000 and I can find 9 other resources, I just made $80,000 that year. If you're used to making $15,000 a year, $80,000 a year is a pretty damn good payday. Okay? Hospitals, bulletin boards at hospitals, courts, funeral directors, attorneys, apartments, unemployment offices, bail bonds. These are areas where people might be congregating that are in stressful situations. If I can figure out how to market to those people, whether we do those Bluetooth key fobs, put those in those areas, we do the bulletin board, whatever you do. I'm trying to get your thought processes boiling. Okay? Blanket business cards and flyers. Every time you go to the gas pump, tape one of your business cards on there. Just getting crazy with it. You go to Home Depot, stick a handful of them in the water packages. It's not going to make you a ton of money, but it will start creating opportunities. And if all you're needing is that first deal and you're working on a budget, just telling as many people as you possibly can what you're doing will increase the chances of you closing a deal. This is something that I think is going to be really good for people that have that gift of gab, the person that knows no stranger. Network marketing is a free resource that can land you a ton of deals. One of the guys I grew up and went to school with is a very good communicator. He's good at talking to people. He has no problem walking up to a stranger and striking up a conversation. If you get really good at that, every person you see is an opportunity to ask for a referral. Like, you can be broke as hell, but you can still run your mouth. It's true. Like, if you're good at standing in front of any place and just like, hey, you know what? Hey, striking up the conversation, and then 15 seconds into the conversation, you nail that elevator pitch. I'm a local real estate investor. I work with a lot of people to help them out of difficult situations with their homes. If you or anybody you know of is in a situation like that, I'd love to get in contact with them. Oh, yeah, well, my cousin, I know they're in foreclosure. Boom. How much did that lead cost you? Cost you some time. But if you're good at it anyways and you're already in line at Walmart, why not? So these are not things that are going to scale to a point starting out, but can you scale network marketing to a very viable resource? Yes. I was talking to you earlier today about Gabe. Gabe's out of Houston. 100% of his deal flow is coming out of networking with real estate agents. That doesn't cost him anything. It takes some of his time. But he lets enough real estate agents know what he does in his business, and there's his entire business model. Okay? Network marketing can work. If I had different initiatives, could I be standing here at the front of this room talking to every single one of y'all, teaching you what I want to get deals from you? Network marketing. This could be network marketing as I stand right here. That make sense? Okay, so network marketing can scale. Social media, you can pull a lot of deals out of social media. You let enough people in social media know what you do and what you're doing, you will start being remembered as the resource that does that. The better you are at staying top of mind with these people, the better the probability of you closing a deal will be. Try to connect with BPO agents, court-appointed guardians, blank, 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 blank. Connect with everybody. Everybody that you can find that knows that you do this is going to increase your chances of making that happen. One of the things that I would recommend is that as you are making these connections, that your marketing campaign now becomes following up with those connections. So you constantly stay top of mind. If I meet a postal employee and I'm like, hey, I'd like to blank, 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 and I never talk to that person again, are they going to remember? They might be able to remember the interaction, but they're not going to remember my name, my phone number. But if I take their contact information down and I make it a habit to automate my follow-up with them, whether that be a reminder to tell myself to call them up, or I set them up on a Ringless voicemail drop to Ringless voicemail that postal employee once a month saying, hey, I met you a couple months ago. I just wanted to touch base with you and see if you came across any other properties. You are constantly reminding that person you're still in business. The better you get at that, the better you'll do. You get a long list of contractors. Contractors get called out to houses for bids. When they send over those bids and the homeowner can't afford them, is that an opportunity that you might be able to buy something? Okay. How much more time do I have? All right, we're going to start speeding up. What I want to do here, I cannot give you a full class on digital marketing, network marketing, direct mail marketing, guerrilla marketing. I cannot give you a full class on that. What I need you to do right here, though, is understand these are your channels, pick one, and then you go to another class on that one and study it and work out from there. Digital marketing. You need to create landing pages and websites. Propelio.com can do that for you in about 5 seconds. Like seriously, if I come over here, boom, I go over here to Propelio.com. If you do not have a website for your business, I suggest you get one. If I come over here, I log into Propelio, boom, I sign in.
Change your display.
Oh, change my display. Ha. Boom. Yep, y'all can see that up there. All right, so now I can't see it over here. But once I'm in there, where's my mouse? All right, boom. In about 5 seconds, I could have a website just like that stood up. Like, it says Daniel Moore at the top because I don't have a logo for my Daniel Moore business. But if I wanted to put a logo up there, logo's up there. It doesn't take long for you to have a website set up for your business. At this day and age, with as advanced as technology is, websites are not difficult anymore. So if you're out there doing and operating your business under an @Gmail account, spend the $49 a month to have a Propelio website and a Propelio email. It's well worth the time. Like, it's 49 bucks. Like, if you can't afford it, I understand. I've been at a point where I couldn't afford that either. But if you can't afford 49 bucks a month, get yourself out there on the internet. Get yourself a website. Get off your @Gmail. Get off your Hotmail. And start setting yourself up with a business. So that is that. Like, it doesn't take long. Now, let me get this back over here somewhere. GoDaddy's where you can buy a domain. You can also buy a domain through Propelio. And the website's already built. It takes 5 seconds. You're done.
Put in your business name, a few more things, and it's
It's 5 questions. It's done. Answer 5 questions. You're done. All right. So coming back over here. Oh. Are we good? Are we good? We are good. I got to figure out my spot, though. All right, there we go. All right, but having that website on its own is good for credibility, but if you're wanting to use it as a lead source, you're going to have to learn about pay-per-click marketing. We just partnered with Steel Marketing. Steel Marketing is coming in to teach SEO, teach PPC. They're going to do a great job of that, and if you are a Propelio customer and you are using a Propelio website, they are going to start doing weekly webinars starting here in January. Our first one's going to be like January 13th. So if you are a Propelio customer, you will get directly coached by Steel Marketing to teach you how to use that website as a lead generating funnel, either through pay-per-click or SEO. So moving forward from there, we need to understand click-through optimization. We need to understand search engine optimization. But just because you have a website does not mean that leads will start coming in. You've got to work on creating that as a funnel, okay? Going through from there, mass media, I can start doing billboards. Billboards, everybody that drives down I-30, I-35, I-75, wherever you're at is going to see your marketing. That's mass media. Get it in front of everyone you possibly can. Bandit signs, mass media. Radio ads, mass media. You're touching as many people as you possibly can. That's like the epitome of a shotgun. Shotgun approaches are expensive. You know, if you do not have a large budget, shotgun approaches are expensive. That's why I suggest anybody starting out to become a sniper, because most of the bigger people are not going to be snipers. They're going to be shotguns. So if you're going to compete with a shotgun, you're going to be a sniper. Okay? Coming through. Phone marketing. What do I mean by phone marketing? Phone marketing is in like ringless voicemails, text messaging, auto dialers, phone systems in general. So going through this, phone systems. I like to assign a specific phone number to my specific marketing types. Like if I'm marketing to probates, my probate will have its own phone number. So that way I can track how many probate calls I'm receiving. If I am doing split tests on my probate marketing will have multiple phone numbers. This is how I am tracking my split testing. Every time I get a phone call, I now know where that lead came from because of the phone number it came in on. I would use, from back in my day, CallRail. There's a lot of systems available now that can help you through your business, but CallRail is what I used back in the day. I could take CallRail and assign a specific phone number to a specific marketing campaign, and I could then track how many phone calls I was getting per campaign. Okay? I'm going to want to start text messaging. How many people leave their text messages unread? I'm to a point I am now. Like, the number of people that have my phone is just wild, so it's overwhelming. It drives me crazy. But all of that to be said, text messages almost always get read. If you learn how to start using effectively text messaging campaigns, your open rates will be high, your delivery costs will be low. It costs like $0.01 to $0.02 to send a text message. Okay? Lead Sherpa, I know that they were offering that. There are other resources out there beyond that. It's a service that provides text messaging blasts, but there's a lot of them out there. Like, there are a ton of them out there. Just find one that you'll use and you like and use it. Ringless voicemails. When I first started, there was a company out there, and I can't even remember the name of it right now. It was 9 years ago. So everybody's getting hot on ringless voicemails right now. Ringless voicemails have been the thing for the past 2 years. I was doing ringless voicemails 9 years ago. Ringless voicemails are a way to hit 20,000 people in 45 minutes. Has anybody in here ever received a voicemail but their phone didn't ring? It's a ringless voicemail. I'm just dropping little hints in your voicemail box all over the place. So if I did want to blanket an absentee owner list, there's 14,000 of them in Dallas County alone, I would likely try to touch them with an RVM. It's my lowest cost per touch that I can hit at mass that I believe. That is my opinion. So if I did want to hit all of them at once, I'd RVM them. Okay? What else to consider? While I'm doing this marketing, I need to be crucial piece to that is my lead management. Every lead that comes into my phone system, I paid a lot of money for it, or I paid a lot of my life for it. If you paid your life for something, would you ignore it? No. That lead took your life to get. Respect it. Nurture it. Follow up with it. I do not know metrics right now, but my feedback from the conversations I have is that contract is normally coming on 4 to 7 follow-ups. Almost no one is getting contract day one. So if you go out on your appointment, you go out and you make that contact, and you do not get your contract, that is not the end of the game. That is just the start. You need to religiously follow up with that lead consistently for months, 8 months, 9 months, 16 months. My longest follow-up that I scored a contract on was almost 2.5 years, and it was about a $90,000 payday. Once you have that lead in your system, nurture it and follow up with it until the house and opportunity is gone. Every single one of them, your money is 100% in the follow-up. I cannot stress that enough today. If you learn anything at all today, your money is in the follow-up. You're going to need to develop some follow-up systems to automate and or control that. Yes?
So when do you get to the point where the lead's dead? Like when they say, no, I don't
When the house is sold. Nope. When they say they don't want to sell the house, 30 days later, you call them again. 30 days later, you call them again. And until that house is sold, you just keep calling unless they hit a do not call list or something like that. Like you can't go that route. But if they hit a do not call list, well, then I'm going to slide in with the postcards. Boom. You just keep going. It does not stop. It only stops when the house is sold. Okay? You're going to need to set up some sort of email system. Like email blasting is, in my opinion, a little more dead than what it used to be. But in my days, email blasting was still a pretty big part of the business. But I think email blasts have kind of gone to the wayside. But ultimately, if you are going to be a master wholesaler, you must first become a master data miner and then a master marketer. And until you have done those two things, you will not be a wholesaler. Okay? I'm going to take 2 questions, and then I'm going to move on to the next one. Either I taught it really well or y'all just that ready to get the F out of here.
On these follow-up systems, do you recommend any app or business or way to go to keep up with all of it and how you contact?
Propelio has a lead management system. You would need some training to understand how to use it. I would literally have to sit down and show you how to use Propelio as a lead management system. It has tasks follow-up in there. It has a way of organizing the leads based upon the due dates of your tasks. But beyond that, there's a lot of CRMs. Any CRM will function. Podio is a free one, but it's going to take you some understanding of how to build it. But ultimately, even just an Excel spreadsheet starting out is capable, but Propelio's CRM side is free. And if you understand how to use Propelio's lead management system, it is free, 100% free. But if you understand how to use the task manager on there, and you understand how it operates in regards to follow-ups of the tasks, then Propelio can be a really good follow-up system for you. Okay? Hey. Yes, Fred.
If you're going to use texting or RVMs or even cold calling for that matter, do you have any concerns regarding like the TCPA laws and
So
Getting
I've read
sued.
I've read them on the text messaging side, and my understanding is if it's not an automated system from a dialer and it's just person to person, it's not illegal. But that is my understanding. I'm not a lawyer, and you need to talk with a lawyer on that side. Anytime that we start doing something at scale that's functioning to get in touch with people, it's going to piss people off. And so we'll constantly be in an ever-changing environment. Right now, RVMs and text messaging has picked up really big over the past couple of years. Well, you know what? Maybe direct mail's starting to come back. Markets move in cycles. Marketing moves in cycles. Real estate investing strategies move in cycles. So while there is that, if the legislation comes through that says that's dead, then, on my side, from what I've read on it, I am of the opinion that it can be done within compliance. So I don't worry about it too much. The biggest thing I would worry about is the do not call list. You do have potential litigators that come through that. So, all right. One more, or was that the two questions? That was the two questions, I believe. All right, so we're going to take a short break. We're going to give this one another 5 minutes, and we're going to come back for the next segment. The next segment is going to be on, hold up for everybody that's watching on YouTube. The next segment is going to be on creating a schedule around this and setting your business up for processes through time blocking and stuff like that. So pay attention to that. We're coming right back in about 5 minutes on that subject.